Welcome to Shifting Gears, the show that catapults you back into the driver's seat of your life. Buckle up and prepare to check your mirrors as you shift from autopilot to the exhilarating journey of alignment with your host, Dana S. Diaz, the Power Shifter. Get ready to rev your engines and accelerate towards your true potential.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Shifting Gears Live with me, Dana S. Diaz, your host. And I'm very, very excited about today's guest, Lisa Tyndall. She is one of my beautiful and wise spiritual gal pals down in Australia. And I met her through the Women Thrive Speaker Summit, where we will both be speaking. March 16th through 20th is the summit, but we'll both be speaking on March 20th, and we'll get to that later in the show. But I'm going to bring Lisa on right away because an hour is never enough time when she and I get to talking. And I want to have her introduce herself because, Lisa, I never know what to tell people exactly that you do.
You sound like my mother.
I love everything.
My mother's the same. She's like, people ask me what you do, and I really don't know. It's because that we move and change so much. I'm like, that's okay, Mum.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to it. I mean, if somebody needs to be saged, if their demons need to be removed, you're the girl. If you need, to know what stones and what things to buy at the spiritual store, like I just discovered one near me, you're the person to ask for whatever the outcome is that you want. And if you have the Millionaire Pathway, which will be your presentation in the summit. So I call you a wealth alchemist because it sounds exciting, and you work with people to embody the person the identity that they've always been, and sort of rediscovering that, because we all tend to fall into those roles of what we are expected to do and what, whether it's gender, culture, society, whatever it is, and we lose ourselves. So you help people find themselves again and really take on, a whole new life, really. So how do you encompass that?
So much better than my mother. I'm going to get her to listen to this. That's basically in the human space. And as I said to you, it's really hard to label yourself. And I think a lot of us, the human likes to have a label, likes to say, well, this is what you do. It likes to have something to hold on to. And my office is, I spend most of my time up in the multidimensional space, up in the higher realms. Like, I love playing up in the area. And so when I anchor into my body and someone says, so what do you do? I'm like, and it's like every single one of us, we're so multifaceted. Like, we on this, and then on this, and then on this. So there's been a whole journey at the back end of it. But really, in a nutshell, you nailed it. I'm the human aspect, a wealth alchemist, and an embodiment mentor. And what I help women with is to come home back to themselves. Because the money is not made through your structure, through your systems. Yeah, they're great, but a $1 million pathway is actually made internally before it can actually reflect externally. So I help women to really go beyond mindset and strategy and into identity recalibration, nervous system intelligence, and body self-trust, because trust is huge, and take radical responsibility for their life so they can really become the self-authority and the leader of their world, because we are living in so many different aspects within our inner world that aren't actually who we are. And we put ourselves in cages, and people masks or cages or whatever it may be. So I help people get out of those boxes and just expand into the beautiful life that they're meant to have without the restrictions.
Well, I love that, because that's one of my personal pet peeves is even when I'm introduced, people have all these, she's a mom, a wife, and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And I remember once somebody asked me to introduce myself, and I'm like, I'm just Dana. I'm not just that, and I'm not just this, but people, I'm not a labels person, because they're all roles, but they're not who you are as a human being. And I think that's where people lose ourselves, as they get caught up in this societal crap about well, you have to have a label. You have to attach yourself to people, with those labels. And I don't know. I just feel like you hit the nail on the head. We are all multi-dimensional, multifaceted, multi-layered. Who you know of me might be different from what somebody else would know of me. And what you get from me is what I decide to show you of myself. And that's a whole other conversation for another day. The 12 personalities that we all have, especially as women, it depends where in the hormonal phase you are in life too.
And really, it's about stripping back and finding the truest version of you, because everything else is just made up. Everything else is just what you were programmed when you were young. You're that little kid and you're like, oh, I've got to fit in, so I'm going to believe what that person says, and I'm going to make sure that I'm safe and I'm secure. And the safety is the biggest thing. Survival is the biggest thing when we're young. And then when we start to evolve, we realize that we don't have to live in that survival phase anymore. But we're so programmed to live in survival that we do everything from that space without even realizing.
Well, it's true. And I think that's where one of the things that I see come up with almost every guest I've had on the show, it comes back to, what will people think, though, if I do something that's not, normal, so to speak? If I do what I want to do, oh my gosh, what will people think? I'll be rejected. I won't be accepted. They'll judge me. They'll talk about me. I don't care anymore. I've moved past that, but it is so prevalent everywhere we go. Yes.
It's also ingrained from childhood, because like my mother used to say, like I was so petrified being seen. I was petrified being seen for a lot of different aspects. Like I was sexually abused by 3 different men.
Mm-hmm.
You and I've got very, very similar stories. I was brought up by a beautiful woman, had lots of love, but she was mum and dad. My dad left the day I was born. So, I was not the forgotten child, but she was so busy putting roof over our head and food in our mouth that it was like she would be so tired, and I'd be, can you just shut up and just be seen and not heard, and and oh, you little Miss Know-it-all. Well, actually I am, because I'm a channeler, so yeah, hello. And then, I'm not bad mouthing my mum, sorry mum. And so we're taught to just be quiet and not be seen. And then somebody tells us something and we're like, oh, that's who I am. Oh, that's who I am. Oh, I'm that. And so we start living in other people's belief systems and other people's worlds. And then when we start to realize that, well, no, actually me being seen it's not going to work, because we're here for big work. We're here for the biggest work you can ever imagine, especially right here on earth right now. We are here to really step up. And I'm not against men and women, but especially women, because we have been suppressed for so friggin' long. And so finding our voice and not being afraid to be seen is a huge thing. And that opens us up to the whole wealth alchemy. And
well, tell us more about that. And tell me more, because I have heard snippets of your story. Before you get into the wealth alchemy, tell us where you were before the wealth.
God. How long did you say we got?
I know. But this is what the show is how you went from that to that, because I think people need to understand that no matter where you are in life and no matter where you come from, no matter your circumstances, boy, it can turn around, and it all is in your subconscious and in your identity. So tell us where you were, and then what happened, and how you came into this wealth alchemy and how that went.
Yeah, so it's really funny, because it's funny this is called shifting gears, because I've got a saying that says, I've lived my whole life, and most of us do, with our hand on the brake and our foot on the accelerator.
That's
like
true.
We want to go, but the fear and all the different stuff and all the things that are our handbrake, and we go, and then we self-sabotage and all that way. Well, I lived absolutely in self-sabotage my whole world, because it was how I survived and how I stayed small, so I wasn't seen, so I was safe. And I lived in a world where, I was in protection mode. I was in survival mode. I was really doing the best I could just to get by. And so my world was was, as I said, I had a beautiful growing up. Like my mum, she did the best she could. She was incredible. She had 3 jobs. I remember sitting around eating out of baked beans out of a can. You know, it was like, that was our dinner. But I didn't think anything less. I was like, I used to get teased at school for my lunches and, you know, all that sort of thing. What's the poor girl got sort of thing. But, you know, we had a lot of love. But there was, my dad left the day I was born. He couldn't handle 2 kids. And I've actually never, well, I think I met him a couple of times when I was little, but I wouldn't even know who he is. So I suffered a lot of abandonment from that, a lot. Like that was a thread that was, and still runs through my system. And that's the whole people pleasing, the whole making sure that you fit in thing that we talked about initially. That was a big thread for me, sister, I can tell you. And then, you know, as I was growing up, I like to say I'm like a fine wine. I've definitely got better with age. I was redhead, freckled, big girl. I became the bully because that's all I knew how to protect myself. And yes, I do have stories about girls being mean to my friends and me flushing their head down the toilet. That's who I was because I was surviving. I was doing the best I could to be able to be in that space. And then fast forward, you know, I got into my teenage years. My mum's boyfriend sexually abused me. My stepdad sexually abused me. That was an interesting one. And I can talk about them now because I don't have any emotional attachment. Like I've really done the beautiful healing around them. I don't have that charge in my body. So I could tell you anything you want about it, but it took me a long time to get there. And to get through all that sort of stuff, I went to addiction. And I'm not going to lie, I had a lot of fun for a couple of years with drugs and alcohol. Like I'm a total truth talker. Until I didn't. And then the anxiety and the mental health kicked in and tried to commit suicide, ended up in hospital on a drug overdose, thought I was having a heart attack. No, it was just a massive panic attack, but it was, you know, I knew if I didn't change, I was going to die. And I was actually really quite clever. I was a functioning addict and I had the perfect job. I was an alcohol rep. And my partner at the time was a drug dealer, which I didn't know when I met him. So I organized that whole thing.
Oh, my goodness. And how old were you about that time of your life?
My 40s. I was actually in my 40s by then. Yeah. I really was. Like I did the whole corporate job. I did the whole doing as you were told. I did the whole different aspects of that. But I was always lost. It was always a part of me that I couldn't find. I always didn't feel like me. I felt like I used to say to people, I'm living in a movie and I'm not the star. I'm just a character in the background because that was safe. I was never actually leading my life. And then when I shifted into gear was when I had the drug overdose and I was like, you know what? This is not normal. I see so many people like me and we're so freaking incredibly powerful. And men and women, like I'm not just talking about women. It's like, how did we get here? So they went down the whole rabbit hole of trying to understand the mindset. And then I understood neurological pathways and the patterns and the reasons why we do some things and the, you know, confirming the belief systems and all that sort of stuff. And then I moved into a space of self-love. I'm like, oh, now I need to love myself because I really don't. Like I'd cut the bottom end of me off. I was like, you are fucking nasty. You are not nice. I don't want to know you. You're nothing but trouble. Because I had a hysterectomy when I was 23, so I couldn't have kids.
Oh my goodness.
I treated that really well. So, you know, I didn't like her. I didn't like the lower part of me. And I used sex as power because that's all I knew. That was my survival again. So then when I realized and I started unraveling why I did what I did, I took absolute radical responsibility for everything in my life and everything not in my life. And that was a hard pull. But that is when I absolutely took that hand off that handbrake and I was like, let's go. And I did it. I didn't do it from a beating. I've done years and years of beating myself up, hence the, you know, trying to. But I did it from a really curious space. And that was the change. And, you know, through the whole journey, and I've done a lot of medicine journeys. I did 4 really powerful mushroom journeys, which absolutely rocked my world. And they allowed me to see that I am absolutely the creator of my universe. Yes, there's an external everything, but I'm the creator. And with my thoughts, with my feelings, with my emotions, I created this and everything is like amazing. But imagine if I release what I don't need to hold on to anymore. imagine what I could create. So I really started to unravel it. And I started working with women first with mindset. Then I moved into self-love. Then I became a trauma release practitioner, which was beautiful. Like, I loved cracking women open and closing them, but shifting them really fast from the emotional stuff within their body. And then I moved into I'd say my spiritual side, and now I've merged the two of them, and that's the embodiment. And the real embodiment piece was like, it was like putting I don't know how Americans, like, it's the high octane petrol instead of putting the cheapest you can find in my
Yeah.
I'm trying to guys in the car.
I love the effort.
Without even realizing. So I put the premium petrol in, and off I freaking went. And it's just living in the present moment from then, and just learning and growing, and understanding. So yeah.
And I love that you said that, though, all of that. And thank you for sharing all that, because it's a lot. But I think that is where our paths sort of have run parallel, because I feel like a lot of people, when you go through any trauma or abuse, and I would say addiction is part of that sort of self-abuse, even though it's a coping mechanism. You go down the path, and society says, go to therapy, get a coach. And I'm not poo-pooing on that, but yeah, it was not not very effective, because the key is, for some of us that have actually had progress and had results, we understand that you do sort of move into mindset, and you think positive affirmations and goat yoga, and it gets you a little further, but then you're like, oh, subconscious beliefs, and oh, that's my identity. Oh, I can change my identity. Oh, I can decide who I am. Oh, I can decide what my life is. And, every little step further, you get to be where you are, which, again, whatever you want to call it, but the embodiment is the key, and people call the spiritual aspect a little woo-woo. I know you made a post about that recently that I so related to, because I stay out of the woo-woo language so that people can relate to me better, but I'm a little more direct as far as just saying, here's what it is, and that's what's, the neuroscience behind it, and do with it what you will. But there is a very real aspect of it being, we are spiritual beings. And I know the people like my science and my scientific aspect of it, because it gives them something more tangible. We can't deny that we're spiritual beings, and that is definitely a part of it. I always liken it when people say, oh, well, I don't understand spirituality. How do you believe in it? I'm like, well, you believe in dinosaurs, don't you? But you've never seen one. Or some people believe in God, or that Jesus walked the earth. Have you ever met him and shook his hand? No. Okay, well, same thing. You just know there's something more.
Yeah,
there's something more. And when you do tap into it and understand it and realize it, and you're living it, then you're like, oh, and then you want everyone else to jump on board, but they call you crazy and all this other stuff, and you're a witch, and and so here we are, and that's why you and I are friends.
It was really funny, because I said to someone the other day, I love, like, the things that I'm hearing now is what I was talking about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's not that I was any more advanced. It was just a little bit more awakened. Like, there's no one that's more advanced or more better or more at anything. And gurus are a crock of shit these days. Like, the truth is in who we are, right? Like, don't put somebody on a pedestal, because guess what? They're going to fall over. I always say to my clients, I walk with you. I walk beside you every way. And the power, and what you were talking about before was people taking back their power. Because the power is in uncovering who we truly are. When we remove other people's beliefs, when we remove all the bullshit, when we remove everything, and we stand there in our purest form, who actually are we? You've actually got to unlearn everything that you've learned to uncover who you are. It's like, it's mind-blowing. And that's when you start to really understand that, as you said, like, there is something out there. God, source, universe, whatever you want to believe in. I love it all, like everything. But there's also, and this is the $1 million pathway shit, there is a whole inner matrix within you. There is God conscious, not God, but God conscious. There is the universe, there is source, there is your inner world, there's your intuition, there's your higher self, there's your spirit team, there's everything. And whatever label you want to give it, all those labels come back to one thing. They're all friggin' you. But of course, humans, we like to attach to our external reality. Oh, I'm going to all these things. And, we're actually, no. It starts in here. You cannot build anything externally unless you are of your purest form internally, unless you let go and surrender and trust. Trust, oh my God, that's the hardest thing to do, is to fully trust yourself and trust what's happening, because everything else is just made up.
It is, but the trust part, at least I have found from personal experience and working with other people, and this goes into everything. This is talking about opening yourself up to wealth and all the things, is your nervous system. It sends you into panic mode if, God forbid, you do something outside the bounds that I always say you've created your own bounds around your, what you can and cannot do, or what you should or should not do. But when you even dare step on the line, your nervous system, oh my gosh, don't do it. I always say it's like that robot in Lost in Space with its coily arms saying, danger, danger. That's what I imagine in my head, because I'm weird. But, and that's when people stop and they freak out and they back up and say, oh, I better stay in my lane. I better just stay over here and keep doing what I'm doing like everybody else is. Yeah. And I'm just like, no, now I just hurdled. I hopped the fence. I'm out.
Yeah. Well, if you're not evolving and growing, you're actually dying. Yeah. So you need to question everything. And, like I said, when you're talking about the nervous system, that is something that I'm so passionate about, because, your nervous system is your tree of life. And if your nervous system is solely because when you go to do something and fear kicks in, you contract. And fear and excitement have the same emotion. So all it is what you're actually telling yourself. So if you're telling yourself, oh, that's really scary, I can't handle it, oh my goodness, no, hang on. And of course, then what happens is your subconscious and your ego kick in, because they're two little rat bags that really want to keep you where you are. Even though you don't want to be there, they're like, no, she's going into that danger zone. Alert, robot. And they bring in some belief systems that they know that you're wired, that you have inside your world, that have always kept you safe, even though you don't want to be in them. And that's why people keep hitting their upper limit and they can't get up, because, wealth is not built from strategy. It's built from identity. So you have to die who you are now and become the person who's holding what you actually want. Otherwise, you will never be able to hold it. You won't. You may make it, but you'll lose it, or you'll get to a certain point and then you'll lose it. And you're right, Dana, it's a whole nervous system thing. It's your nervous system. It's wired to, the minute you start reacting, oh shit, hang on, no, she's not safe. No, she's stepping out into that unfamiliar. Oh, no, hang on. Alert, bring a belief system in that'll keep her small. Well, no, I can't do that. That's not for me.
No, and it's no wonder that I used to have panic attacks too. And I also had one that was so bad I thought it was a heart attack. And I'm laughing now, but it was you want to talk about feeling like you're dying, and try having one when you have perimenopause. That's just a bitch. You don't know when.
Thank you.
But that's the thing. But that is all your nervous system. But I always tell people, even on a basic level, it's your gut instinct. It's your gut instinct. I call that intuition now, but people don't like that because that sounds woo. But if you say, listen to your gut, because we all have that feeling, even if you just meet somebody, you enter a room, you go to a place, you're going to have something stir up. I call it a vibe, whatever it is. That is energy, and everything, including money, is energy. People exude energy, and all those vibes you're getting that I will call the gut instinct or intuition. That is telling you that something is in attunement with you or not. But we like to ignore it or think we can override it or outthink it, and it's not going to happen. And then people will say, especially with reference to the wealth aspect of it, oh, well, I don't have to open my nervous system up because, I went and won $8,000 at the casino last week on one machine after putting in $1. Yes, but I'm talking about sustainable results, sustainable achievements, not get rich quick and you go and blow it all the next day and it's gone. I'm not talking about the one-time things. I'm talking about, when I talk wealth and rich are two different things. Wealth is what I say is sustainable and you don't have to worry. And I have been working very hard on that with my nervous system. So I know that I am open and things are I feel it's right there. So I'm just like living my life and I'm like, I don't worry. I will have a roof over my head. I will eat. I'm still gaining weight. So, apparently I have food. I'm like a squirrel fattening up during the winter here. And you just keep going. It's going to be fine. I don't worry about gotta, because it's that hustle culture that, you want to talk about something that kills your nervous system and that you get stuck in. That's that's just exhausting. And I don't know why anybody would even choose that when there's this other option, but people have such a hard time letting go of, that this is how things are supposed to be. You're supposed to wake up, go to work, make the money, then do it again the next day, make more money. And you get the check and now you got to make more money. You need more work. That's too much.
A check makes you feel safe. You're in survival mode because you're always getting it. So you don't need to look for more. Yeah. So a JOB is another thing that just keeps you in that pattern in the program. And not that there's nothing wrong with that in job, but you get complacent, you get comfortable. Okay, well, I'm comfortable here. Yeah, I really want to travel the world, or I want to do this, I really want to go, but I'm comfortable here. I'm looked after. I'm okay. And so you get smaller and smaller and smaller. And so, you try to contract. And I like to say that wealth is not about money. People have got it so wrong. It's not about money. Wealth is about your inner architect of love, of compassion, of joy, of happiness. And when you get that space right, then guess what it does? And you're talking about the energy and frequency. When you're in that beautiful space of being open and receiving because you're so freaking happy, guess what's going to start coming to you? All the opportunities. If you're living in a space where, and your current wealth consciousness is reflected in your bank. So if your bank is how it is, and that's telling you where you are in your wealth consciousness, look at your bank account. Look around your house that reflects what's in your mind. If your house is really cluttered and it's chaos and there's shit everywhere, okay, if you've got kids, it's a little bit different. But, there's stuff that's been sitting. If you look in your wardrobe and you've got stuff in there from, if you don't wear anything in a year, get rid of it. That everything reflects your inner world. That reflects your mind. You've got so much freaking clutter in your mind. You need to clear it out. And that's the number one thing to start with is clear the clutter. Allow yourself to open, because when you heal and get rid of things, what happens? It creates space in your body.
Creates space, yeah.
The love, for the openness. And this is not your true mind. And you actually hit it on the head before. This is your true mind. Your head, your gut, and your heart. If you walk and if you go to do something, and as you said, your intuition goes, ooh, your body contracts, or your body is always giving you signals. You just need to listen to the inner architect. It is telling you exactly what you need to do and not do. And I always say, if you have that moment of, oh shit, should I do that? Or, oh no, I'm not too sure if I really want to do that. And we do so many things because we think we should. And should is the worst thing, because when you hear should, it's your freaking ego. Oh, I shouldn't do that. Hello, ego. No. I always say that when you sit there and you go, okay, I need to make a decision. And you can't rely on one aspect alone, because our heart's drawn, our head has all the different noises. You've got to go heart, head, and gut. Is this a hell yes? I won't say what I usually say. Is this a hell yes? And if it's a hell yes, then you do it. But if one of them is not in tune, then your body's giving you a signal. And it might just be something you need to check in, might need to shift or pivot or change or redo. Or maybe you just need to start learning the word no, because that's the most powerful word you can have. Yeah. Then you don't give away your needs. Then you're actually looking after yourself, because we taught to look after everybody else. Oh my goodness, I could keep going.
No, I'm loving this, because we speak the same language. And again, this is why we get along so well. Our talks are the same idea, just probably spoken in a different way, but it's covering all of the same things. But it is all, I always say it's the key. And I say this in my talk, this is the key. all of these things to health, wealth, and happiness, which I would argue are the three things we all want in life. That's the trifecta, right?
And a piece. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But I always also say love is always the answer too, but you got to start with yourself. And I came to it the hard way, just like you did, hitting that rock bottom and just saying, what the hell is this? Because this is not what I want, and how out of this. Yeah. I just remember I always was throwing myself down that rabbit hole, but I think that's where a lot of people, at least I have found, and I, again, admit guilt, that we want to blame when things don't go our way or when our efforts don't produce the results we want. It's because of that person or this thing, or life just sucks or story of my life or whatever things people say, but it's not. You can point the finger, and this is why people don't heal, and this is why people don't achieve, and this is why people don't have the wealth, because they just want to blame. But when you were talking, first thing you said was talking about radical honesty. And I'm a firm believer in that. You got to own it and just say, yes, that crap happened to me and it sucked and it was bad and I didn't deserve it. And all of those things are valid, but you get to choose every single moment from the present on. So if you want to live in that muck and use it as an excuse for not doing whatever going forward, or, making different decisions going forward, then that's your choice. But your decisions are going to set the tone for what your life is. And again, I'm like, if you want to live like that, that's fine. I lived like it for most of my life. And then I realized, I can be happy. I'm allowed to, and I can have success and achievement. And I was like you, Lisa. I hated having my picture taken because I honestly was made to feel like I was ugly, unworthy, told I shouldn't have been born, all the things. And now I'm just like, picture, geez, like.
I don't use filters anymore, and I've got no makeup on. I'm just.
Yeah, I know. You look beautiful without makeup. I don't want to scare people.
You know what? That I lived probably 45 years, maybe I'm in my 50s, blaming everybody else.
Yeah,
I have been that person, Dana, and so have you, right?
Yeah.
And the minute you blame an outside influence, you're in victimhood.
Yep.
The minute you take responsibility and go, okay, even for when I was sexually abused, even when I was raped, I was like, okay, and I'm not saying it's my fault, but I took responsibility for what I needed to learn and grow in that space so that I could then release it with compassion. Because I'm listening to the book. If you haven't listened to this, I'm listening or reading, because I'm on audio in the gym, Letting Go. It is one of the most powerful books, because when you let go and stop holding on to the I call them the lower dimensional things, which is the fear, the scarcity, the lack, the anger, all those different emotions that keep you locked in that pattern where you're in that cage and this is what you get, because that's what's reflecting. Because if you're in that space, it's all going to come back. You're going to get more of the shit that you're actually reflecting. Yes. So it's so important to release that blame game and go, you know what? I was a real shitty person, but I understand why I did it. I did it so that I could survive. I did it so that I did the best I could with what I was given. And I did it for different reasons. And, I went down a whole lot of apology side, apologizing to people, and they didn't need to apologize for the things they did to me. But I was like, you know what? I didn't handle that really well, and I'm really sorry. And it was such a freeing thing, because we get so caught up in the ego of, oh no, I didn't do anything wrong. And you look at the world right now, everybody's trying to blame everybody else, and it's just freaking chaos. It's crazy. Stay in your own freaking lane. Don't just stay in your own lane and start realizing that, I don't even see usually what's happening in the outside world, because it doesn't come into my field, because this is my creation. You're the creator. You let everybody else create externally, but when you create externally with what you actually want, my whole world changed. I released the toxicity within myself first. People dropped away, which can actually be really quite hard, because you get very friggin' lonely to start with. Let's be honest. Oh my God. But everything beautiful starts to come in. Everything, because that's the different vibration and frequency that you're living in. And that's when we start to get to the frequency talk. And that's pretty freaking powerful.
Yeah, and it is. And I think it's important again to say, which you said earlier also, is making the space, because that's another thing that I find with people. They don't understand. People, for some reason, believe that if you have a relationship with somebody, especially if it's family, but it could be a friend or a close associate, that it has to be forever. And I'm like, no, there's a reason. There's that saying, people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, but you have no obligation and nothing. Like, I might not, have a relationship like last year, a friend and I that were close for some time, parted ways, and it was my choice. It just, I was healing, and I was on a different, page than she was anymore. And she wanted to stay in victim mentality, but it was affecting me, and it was making me feel like I was held back there. And there's no shame and no judgment. Lord knows she guilted me and shamed me and so forth. But I was just like, but it's not a thing that happened. It wasn't a conflict. I wish her well, love her dearly from afar, but some people you just can't have in your life. And like my mother's another one. I mean, we've parted ways 3 times, but this final time I was like, got the memo, I'm good. It got me, it took me some time to really come to terms, because I don't care how old you are, you still want your mommy or whoever. But, I'm at the point where I've done enough healing. I don't think we ever finish our healing journey. There's always remnants that I always say they tap your shoulder once in a while and say, I'm still here. I'm going to get you. But,
I'm a little different now, though.
Yeah. But I've come to that point where I can honestly say, I used to hate my mother. I used to say that, and I felt that. But now I'm like, I don't hate her. I actually understand now that she came from an abusive home. She endured some things that nobody should have had to either. And I was a teenage pregnancy. She was a child when she had me. So what was she going to do with me when she didn't even have an opportunity to heal from her own childhood, and then married, another abusive narcissist? So, it's her choice, but I can't make her heal. She doesn't want to heal, but that doesn't mean that we have to be in each other's lives. But I can love her from afar and wish her well. She somehow kept me alive. I don't know how, but I'm here and I'm good. So, we thank her for bringing me here and being the vessel, but we move on. And I think that there's just people just cannot fathom. They just can't get it through their head that it's okay to part ways. You may not have a relationship with a child or with a sibling or with a parent or whoever, and it's okay. That is biology. You share genetics. That is not social inherence. It's just not, you're not obligated unless you decide you are. But again, it's all a choice.
Yeah, 100%. And that was like my father. Like I sent him compassion, because I have compassion for myself, for what I went through as well. And that's the compassion piece. And a lot of people don't go into compassion because they want to, because there's a small part of us that actually likes to hold on to the victimhood, that likes to be the one that actually stays in that space. It's a small part of us is actually addicted to it. And so when we move and bring in the compassion space, as women especially, we're actually addicted to chaos. And chaos is a self-sabotage for stability, because we don't know how to ground and hold who we are and what we want. So when there's that disconnection internally, there's this chaos happens, and the frequency of chaos that was what was happening with your friend, and that's why you couldn't match her anymore, because you'd moved out of that space. And so when your frequencies can't actually meet, it's and same as a parent, same as
agitating. Yeah.
And you're like, but I don't understand you. And they're probably on the other side going, but I don't understand you, because you fall out of line energetically and frequency wise. And if you try to keep doing it, it just is exhausting. And and you're so right. Like, not everybody is supposed to be in your life all the time. And it's not that you're being horrible or being nasty. You're actually letting them go with love. And if they grow and meet the frequency that you're in, or if they, come to the same space, and you're healing. So guess what? She's going to be rising, because you heal generation 7 back and 7 forward. So as you're clearing your generational lineage, your lineage. So
Right.
it's beautiful. So if you're gonna want to do the work that you really want to do, sometimes you have to get rid of I hate to say this, the deadwood that's anchoring you down into your old world. It's just not going to do you any good. We are actually here in this lifetime to heal generations. We have the hardest job.
Yeah.
We have the hardest job because we're here to do the deepest work. And if you avoid that deepest work, and I call it work or soul work, whatever you want to label it.
It feels like work.
Those dark nights of souls where you're in the friggin' fetal position and you're in the bath and you're like, oh shit. Like, you can't. But on the other side of it, it's so beautiful. But you've got to do the work. Otherwise, your world is just going to get so chaotic because the energy and frequency on Earth now has completely shifted. And you cannot hold on to shit anymore. You cannot sit in your shadows and try to avoid them, or else it's this thing I call the feather brick in the bus. If you don't listen, you get tickled with the feather. Something will happen externally because you are constantly leaving yourself or giving yourself signs. There are signs all around you. So you get tickled with the feather. If you just ignore it, then you get hit with the brick. If you ignore it again, oh, good God, watch out because the bus is coming. And so many people are in this bus. Oh my God, there you go, another shifting gears. The bus will just run you over. And that's why so many people are like, why is all this shit always happening to me?
Yeah.
You've got to start going within. And I still have stuff happening to me. I'm not sitting here going, oh, everything's wonderful and perfect. We were just talking about from the call. What the hell has the last 3 days been? What is this freaking been? The year of the snake. What the hell has been going on? We all go through it, but we sort of understand how to weave and we learn how to let go, because the biggest thing you can do, and this is one of the biggest things you can do in your life, is relinquish your control and trust. Relinquish control. I say that we're in control and we're creating, but really we're freaking not. Like, that you have to meet. So when you let go of all expectations, and this is what you're talking about your mother, you had the expectations on your mother to be and act a certain way. It's just not going to happen. So when you let go of the expectations on others and on yourself, it's so freeing.
Yeah, because then I could just be. She doesn't have to be, I can be. And that's where I understand what you're saying about the control, because I've had that has been one of my last pieces with all this, is releasing the control. And I'm a Capricorn and a type A and a 2-4 profile in human design. Like, I am not very easy to let go of control. I like structure and I like to plan and know, and just like being like, okay, whatever you got, send it to me. It's a very difficult thing. Whereas my husband, the Pisces, is like a squirrel. He's just like, oh, a nut's over there. Let's go that way. Oh, there's another one that way. Like, he's a little more flowy. And so somehow we try to help each other out and meet in the middle, but I'm not as much of a squirrel as he is. So I'm not at all, actually. I'm not at all. But that is the control part, is when you can realize that you're in control of what you do as far as the decisions you make. But overall, if you do not listen to the gut, intuition, whatever you want to call it, life will find a way to force it. And that's what I was telling somebody not that long ago about people, is that's the thing. Why is all this stuff happening in the family? Why is it, they were telling me about these things. And I'm like, well, it's kind of like the Etch-a-Sketch. If you don't, that boundary needs to be set with that person. You're not willing to set the boundary because they're family and you can't do that. Okay, well, now life just took the Etch-a-Sketch and shook it up and erased that person. It's shaking shit up. So you're going to have to deal with it now. And that's how it goes. But I like the feather and the brick and the bus. I mean, I don't think I'd like a brick or a bus. I like feathers a little better. They're more fun.
Yeah. I mean, I had it a couple of weeks ago. I didn't realize that my inner world, I was trying to control, like, my team, the everything I was trying to control. And so our radiator blew up, and that was the bus. And it was like, why did I write? Because, of course, everything in your world, especially your house, because it's your foundation, so many people right now are like, oh, my water got turned off, or, you know, or something blew up and down in the bottom of it. When anything happens in the house, I'm like, oh, it's within you. Okay, what's going on? Because that's your foundation. That's your home. It mirrors you.
Yeah.
Well, the car is you that you're holding on to control too much, you know, like a pressure cooker. And, of course, it's going to blow if you don't let go. And I remember sitting in my first ayahuasca journey. Oh, good God. I told you this. For 3 hours, all I heard, like I thought I'm going to see myself on a mountain. I'm going to have my calf and my eagle and my lion. Well, no, my husband got that journey. I got relinquish control. Freaking hours. I'm like, clearly I was a control bitch, which I was. And the depth of that always sits with me, because every layer that you move into, you have to release the version of you that you are. You have to release who you are, because wealth is identity. Wealth is moving and shifting and pivoting and going where you need to go to be able to allow the wealth to come in, because prosperity isn't something you trace. It's something you stabilize within. And prosperity is what we actually want, because it's wealth frequency. And so if you are constantly aligning to the things that are happening around you, and that's why I say you've got timelines, right? I really believe that we're all now on one timeline. We used to have, like, a couple of months ago, everything friggin' shifted. This is when I could get really woo-woo, but I won't get too woo-woo. So we've got time that we're on, and when we're living in two worlds, and we're living in the past version of us, we've got one toe sitting on that part, that timeline that controls and has created what we've created right now, and then we've got one foot on the other timeline, which is what we want and we desire and where we're going and who we need to become to be that. And you can't quite stabilize yourself, because you're like, well, you're still holding on to the old patterns and beliefs and systems and things that you need to let go of.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to move into this beautiful new timeline. And it's not that we move on the timeline, then everything comes because it's a time where, you know, the universe, God, source needs to realign. Oh shit, she's done it. Okay. Now we need to line it all up. So that's when you've got to sit in the void of trust and sit in the stillness and sit in the now. Sitting in the now. The minute you go into the future, you're in self-sabotage. The minute you go into the past, you're in self-sabotage. You have to stay in the now. You cannot let anything control you of anything that is a lower dimensional frequency. Thoughts, feelings, and you said this before, Dana, you know, thoughts, feelings, emotions, it's what you put to it is how things are going to come out. And this is when I talk about choice points. Every thought, every emotion, every feeling, every action is a choice point.
Yep.
And you get to decide which way you're going to go. Which timeline are you going to hop onto? Perfect timing. Well said, great. Yeah. Which timeline are you going to go onto? You're going to go into your old one and do what you've always freaking done, which I did for God knows how many years? Or are you going to go, you know what? I'm actually going to step out of my comfort zone, because the unknown is the most scariest thing there is. That's why we avoid it and come back into here, because we're too freaking petrified.
Yeah.
Am I going to stop self-abandoning myself? And am I going to really move into a space of allowing myself to take self-trust?
Yeah.
And I'm going to go over here and do something different that I've never done before, because the term of insanity is doing the same thing every day, expecting a different result. I did that. That was a big thing that helped me to go, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm an alcohol rep. I don't want to be doing this. I'm making money for somebody else. I'm doing the terms, same thing. I'm wanting this, but I'm not doing anything different.
Right.
It just takes baby steps. Like, you don't have to all of a sudden quit your job and relocate to Bali like I did. Yes, I did do that. And it was beautiful. But it wasn't until it was. You know, do little baby steps. Okay, I'm going to do something different in this moment, because I'm not going to live in that cycle. I'm not going to live in that thread. I'm not going to live in that past programming. I'm going to shift who I am for my greater good, because I'm worthy of it all. And the number one, self-love is just needs. So take a stock take of where your needs aren't being met in your life. That's a great way to start. And start honoring them. Set boundaries. We could do a whole freaking show on boundaries. God. That's so
that would be a series.
So hard for people, please. I know it was for me. I mean, my coach, when I set my first boundary, she's like, oh my God, you did it. Oh my God. I'm like, what? So now I'm like, oh my God, now I get it. Oh,
no, but you brought up a lot of good points. But I think one of the biggest things I took away from what you just said was that self-trust piece, because I think a lot of reason why people don't listen to their gut or their intuition is because they don't have that relationship with themselves. They don't trust it because life has told you not to trust yourself. What you see is not really true. And what that person, you get gaslit, manipulated. You don't even know what's what anymore. But I always tell people and I actually teach this in one of my courses, is the fastest way to develop self-trust, easiest, is just every day, just promise yourself one little thing. And it doesn't even have to be a big thing. It could be, I'm going to do 10 push-ups on my lunch break. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to paint my nails today, or whatever. I don't care. I'm going to eat a healthy salad for lunch instead of a burger and fries like people do here in the US. It could be whatever it is, but every day then follow through with that one little thing and just keep doing it, because eventually it sounds silly and it sounds very basic, but you will learn to be like, okay, I promised myself this would happen and I did that. And make sure it's something for yourself, something that puts something, whether it's positive energy, positive consumption in some way. For me, it's always the water. I'm terrible at hydrating. So it's like, if I'm a good girl, I'll get a whole bottle of water. I know, look at you. I just am not good at hydrating, but that's my thing. But then I feel so good when I get that whole bottle of water.
Funny, isn't it? That's the magic piece.
It is. And you feel good about it, and you feel that sense of accomplishment, and then you start to trust yourself. I said I would do it. I did it. And now I feel good. Then you start listening to yourself after a while.
Because the human aspect of us needs evidence.
Yes.
A lot of people don't move because they don't have the evidence to where they're going to, and they have evidence to the other side of it. So when you have, hang on, but this is how it's always been. And so when you do it, I love that, Dana, like when you do that one little thing each day that you spoke about, you're starting to create evidence that, hang on, there is change. I can change. I can evolve. I can have wealth. I can have love. I can have that relationship. I can lose that weight. And you start really tuning into yourself, and you start trusting yourself more and more and more, which means, guess what? You're relinquishing control, because there's that evidence piece that anchors you down into your old world. So you've got to start creating it.
Yeah. And I always tell people it's the same thing when we go back to all of these things about, I feel like shame is that could be a whole other episode, which I've done a few with previous guests. But that's the thing about shame too. It always seems to come back to what will people think? And I tell people, okay, so what if you did that thing? What if you wore that outfit? What if you said that bold thing that you think is going to just rock everybody's world and the world is going to end? What is the worst thing that can happen? Because I always tell people the worst thing that can happen is somebody dies. And unless you're Jesus and can revive them, there's not a damn thing you can do, but life will go on. So is it really that bad?
We're so wired for fear. We're so wired for fear because we have that fear of failure, or the fear of being seen, or the fear of visibility, or the fear of growth. And what is actually underneath it isn't the fear of failure. Is just a freaking illusion. Like, that's your growth part. That's what you need to be failing forward. What we're actually scared of is we're actually petrified of success. We're petrified of actually holding the money. We're petrified of what comes with, like, building a brand and being the person that's out there. Oh my God, I'm petrified of what I'll have to do for that, how I'll have to hold, how I'll have to be seen, who I'll have to change. We're not scared of failure. We're actually scared of success. That's the magic piece. So many people come to me and they're like, I'm so scared to fail. Okay, well, let's unwrap this. And then you find the thread that's like, oh shit, no, I'm actually scared that I'm not going to be able to hold the money, that I'm not going to be big enough to be able to hold all the people, or whatever it may be. We're actually petrified of success because that puts us out there. That takes us outside our comfy zone. And when you're outside your comfy zone, you're growing. And so the fear mechanism comes in and goes, all these things about, like, not being seen and heard and all the different aspects, it kicks into a gear. Success is our biggest fear. It's our biggest fear. What if I get the money and I lose it? Oh my God, I used to say that all the time. Because it happened to me. I made $1 million online. I lost the whole friggin' lot because I couldn't hold it. My inner world was like, oh, far out. Let's get rid of this money. This is scary shit.
But it's interesting you say that, because actually I had a guest a couple months ago who also works with people on, unblocking the subconscious hindrances towards wealth. And that was one thing that when I was talking to her, I'm like, oh crap, I didn't realize that I was blocking myself, because in my head, like growing up, my abusive stepfather, money, money, money. I shouldn't have to pay for another man's child. I shouldn't have to buy you clothes. You're not getting piano lessons anymore. I wasn't worthy of him. Oh, and if I talked to my friends on the phone too long, the phone bill, I was always hearing about the money he had to spend on me. So to me, money was bad because money was more important than me. And I just realized this now at 50, and I'm like, holy crap, that bull crap is blocking me from having what I want now. Like, we got to get rid of this.
Scarcity and lack, and you're like, oh hell no, I can't spend that. And the minute you say, oh no, like instead of saying like, oh no, I can't afford that, say, I'm not going to get that right now, but that's something I'm definitely going to get very soon. You've got to start changing because the relationship with money, your relationship with money reflects in your bank account, how you feel about money, how you think about money, how you see money. And money actually holds so much of an energetic power because of the power we give it, right? We give money so much power because it's our survival. It's like, well, I've got to make sure I'm paying my rent. I've got to make sure I put petrol on the car, make sure I put food on the table. So it's such a huge mechanism for us. And how we are with money is how we are with everything. If you want more love, but your bank account's small, then guess what? It's reflecting. Our bank account reflects everywhere in our world. So when we can, and so you would have been also in that space in love, because I've been exactly the same. Like I would only just have enough love because that was safe. I didn't want to give my heart or myself away too much to intimacy love, because what if I did and then they kicked me in the ass, or of course they abandoned me. So you're only to give little bits of you to what your actually capacity is in your inner world. And this is the whole thing. When you start to understand, you see all the threads. It's like, I'm like, okay, I say to my clients, okay, do we want to pull this one? Are you ready? Are you fucking ready? Like, are you really ready to see this? And it's like, oh my God. But knowledge is power. Sorry for the swearing. Knowledge, when I get excited, I can swear. Knowledge is power. When you have eyes on it, it's so freaking powerful, because you start to observe it in your world and you're like, that's why I do that? Oh my God. And your work's the same. Like, oh my God, that's why I do that. Holy shit. So you can see it and you can feel it. And then when you have eyes on it, you can move out of that victimhood, and you can move out of that control mechanism, and you can go, okay, right, let's start working out where the hell that comes from. Of course it's not mine, it's my dad's. Oh, holy shit. That's not what I want. That's not going to get me my private jet to fly to Lisa.
I know. We have this thing where I'm going to get a private jet to fly to Lisa, but it's going to be pink and sparkly, because if you know me, that's just how it's going to have a big heart on it somewhere. Might have a Hello Kitty on it, because I love Hello Kitty. We'll see. It'll be a Hello Kitty plane, and I'm sure there is already one somewhere in this world. But we have to wrap this up, which I'm so sad about. But people can get more of both of us. Well, they know where to find me, but they can get more of you in the 2026 Women Thrive Summit, which goes for 5 days, March 16th to 20th. And I am so tickled that you and I are speaking on the same day, which is Friday, March 20th. Lisa will be opening the summit that day, and I will be closing it. And so you get her take on this, and then you get me, coming in hot at the end.
I'll pull the vibration, baby, for you.
I have no boobs, so you gotta. But no, we love this. But where can people connect with you outside of the summit and outside of this podcast? Where can we find you? Yeah,
really simple. I play on 2 fields at the moment, and that's on Facebook and Instagram, and it's just my name, Lisa Tyndall. So Lisa with an E. Mum thought that she was building this really feminine, exotic creature, and of course I was a tomboy. But that's how you spell Lisa in Paris. Sorry, Mum. This is who I am, and I love it.
No, I love it too, because I say Lisa with an E because all the other Lisas are just with an I. So I love that. And we thank you for coming on. Please, 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 everybody, check Lisa out. She will be talking more about the $1 Million Pathway at the Women Thrive Summit on Friday, March 20th. You can catch me at the end of the day there, and catch me next time in 2 weeks for the shop talk on this episode, where I'll just keep talking more about these subconscious identity blocks and beliefs and sabotaging and all the stuff. We'll unpack it again. I know. God help us all.
Thank you so much for having me, Dana. It was a blast.
It's my pleasure. I love you dearly. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into Shifting Gears, where transformation isn't just talk, it's a conscious shift into the best and happiest version of you. Until next time, enjoy the open road. And if today's episode inspired you, be sure to like, share, and follow so you never miss what's coming next.